Houston Real Estate Radio starts right now.
Welcome back. You're listening to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm Shannon Register, and you can call us anytime with your real estate questions at 281-882-8088. A lot of exciting things on today's show. Right now, I actually have a flipper. His website is flippingjunkie.com. Donnie Johnson. He is Skyping in from San Antonio, Texas. So welcome to the show, Danny.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
So, Danny, you've been doing this for a while. How long have you been in this sort of business?
Well, my wife and I have been flipping houses in San Antonio for about 10 years now. Just over 10 years. Yeah.
So how do you find the properties that you're going to purchase and rehab and sell?
We do a lot of marketing to private sellers, to homeowners. Mm-hmm. Through we have a website for people, that to do searches for people to sell their house fast, or people we buy houses, things like that, to find us through the website. And we also do direct mail, so we send letters, postcards to different groups of people, and just other marketing like that.
It seems like the marketing is really what works, because I would think when you as Danny go and talk to somebody, they're not as interested as when, the flipping junkie comes along, or the uglyhouse.com, those sort of things are more motivating. What do you think?
Well, if you mean, it's more personal, I think people do like that. The fact that, my website's Danny Buys Houses, and everything about it is just me and my wife. And instead of a big company, somebody showing up in a business suit with a clipboard or something like that, we just come up and we're friendly, and we talk with people. And it's not just about business. We don't just come in and ask questions and leave them with this big legal document or something with an offer to buy the house. It's more of a friendly, we care about them and their situation, and make an offer, and it works really well.
So Danny, what got you into flipping houses? Because we all see the shows now on HGTV, and everybody wants to be a house flipper because it looks so easy on TV. What got you into it?
Yeah, they do make it easy, don't they? But and it's not that hard. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication. But what got me into it was my father actually started flipping houses, and I watched him succeed at that and have a lot of fun with it. And I was a software developer working in an office, all the time, and stuck at the office, and only had a week, 2 weeks of vacation a year. And I got to see him having fun driving around town, dealing with the properties and everything, just like on the shows. And I just thought it would be really interesting and fun to do it. So I started doing that part-time. Okay. And found that we loved it so much.
So if someone out there is thinking about becoming a home flipper and leaving their day job, what would you tell them? What kind of person does it take, or what kind of business structure is it that you really need to make this work?
That's a really good question. The thing I think that is most important that people need to realize is that, a big percentage of people that want to get into flipping houses see the shows and think it's one thing, and think it's mostly just fun and you make a ton of money. Mm-hmm. And, there's a lot more work involved, and there's a lot more to it, and a lot more risk that, I think is kind of downplayed a little bit.
Sure.
And so even being able to take, calculated risks and handle that, and not being okay with not having a steady paycheck is something that is really important. And I always urge to do it part-time first, just to see and make sure that you can replace your income with it before you quit the job to do it. And a lot of people get stuck in what's called analysis paralysis, where they're looking and learning, reading everything they can. They're really interested in it, but they can't seem to get past the learning phase and to start doing it. And to push past that and get past what maybe 95% of the people wanting to get into it, the roadblock they meet, is to get out there and start doing something. You don't have to become an expert in flipping houses before you go and start looking at houses.
So when let's talk about, what is flipping a house? What's the process? Because I guess my envision of it is you're purchasing a home, and then you go in and do renovations, whatever needed, and then you're reselling it to the public, to the consumer. Is that what you're doing?
Right. So, and that can be broken down, of course, into several different things as well. Excuse me. But you basically, you know, there's listed properties, bank-owned properties, foreclosures, even people that have, selling house through a realtor.
Sure.
And then you can do the marketing like we focus on directly to sellers that would want to sell a house, typically because either it needs a lot of repairs, they can't afford to make them, they don't care to make them, they would just like to sell the house and move on with their life. And then there's, a group of people that inherit properties or come into owning them in other ways where they didn't make the payments over the years and willing to take a lot less for the property just to not deal with the hassle
Right.
of fixing and selling it.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you buy the property, and just like on the TV shows, you fix them up, have contractors come in and fix up the properties, and then turn around and sell them. And that's the general idea behind flipping houses. But there's also other ways to do it. And a good way to start, where you don't take on as much risk and don't need to know as much, is what a lot of people call wholesaling. And that's where you buy a house at a discount and you turn around and sell it as is to another investor. And so you don't actually even have to own the house, and take on any of that additional risk, and you can make good money doing that.
So you're not even doing any renovation to it. Tell us about how you're finding those houses and how you are getting them at a better deal than you can resell them for.
Okay, and that would be just need to be built into the offer. You don't get a better deal unless you make the lower offer. Mm-hmm. And that can be that, it's easier said than done, to say to make a lower offer and get it accepted. But a lot of times, the people, especially with the repair cost of a house, if a house needs a lot more in repairs, you're going to be able to get a better price on it. Because a typical homeowner calling somebody, a contractor out of the Yellow Pages or online or something like that to come and fix up the house is going to have to pay a lot more than what we pay to get the work done, because we have crews that we give a lot of work to.
Right.
And so we kind of make a lot of the money on the difference in the repair cost.
Right.
And so if you aim at the properties that need a lot more in repairs, it's a lot easier to get the better price.
So do you think for someone who just wants to flip a couple houses a year, do you think that the money's there for them because they don't necessarily have a crew standing by to come in and rehab it? Unless they're putting a lot of sweat equity in it, do you think that they're able to get it renovated and resell it and really make a profit?
That depends on their ability. I mean, a lot of people like that kind of work. I personally don't. I don't like, hammering things and painting and things. I just don't like doing that. It's not the best use of my time. But if they're able to do that quickly and be okay with maybe bringing on some people to help out and to get it, because holding cost, if you're getting a loan for the property, you've got to keep an eye on what your costs are. If you're spending months and months and months getting this thing fixed up, and it's going to eat up a lot of your profit. So you think you're saving money by doing it yourself, but if you end up having a lot more costs in property taxes, insurance, and all of those things that multiple accumulate as you hold the property, might not be saving as much as you think you are.
And a lot of people buy properties and rent them out. That's obviously not what you're doing. You're flipping the property. So tell me, what made you decide that you wanted to flip properties versus renting them out?
Just the horror stories.
Bad tenants.
Being a landlord is, it takes a certain kind of person to enjoy being a landlord. I guess, if you have higher dollar properties and you have better tenants and things like that. But we just didn't want to be landlords and have a lot of our time consumed with the hassles that come with making sure that you're getting your payments and things like that.
Right. So let's talk about your book, because I know for some people out there who are just thinking about kind of getting into flipping houses, they're interested and they want to get into it. You have a book out there. It was #1 on Amazon for a while. Tell us about the book.
Well, the book chronicles 34 weeks of everything I did in our house flipping business. We had taken a long vacation and came back, and I kind of realized that I wanted to take flying lessons and become a private pilot just for recreation, and I spent a lot of time focusing on that, and the business kind of slowed down a little bit because all my time was spent focusing on having fun. But and I realized that I needed to pick things back up, and I had the blog going at flippingjunkie.com, and I thought, what better way to motivate myself and help other people than to show what I'm doing to get my business, back up to speed. And it was kind of like I was starting over. And so for people starting out, they could see, okay, he did a lot of this marketing and he did all of these things. And, I think it was several months even from the start of when I started chronicling it to when I got the first deal. And that kind of showed, even someone that's experienced, it takes time and a lot of effort and a lot of properties that you're going to look at before you find the right deal. And I passed up on things that somebody may have considered a deal that was really marginal, but I'm conservative and I walked away from it. And I think that's a good lesson for people too, not to just jump on the first thing.
Well, now that the market's getting better, interest rates are going up, are you still able to find good deals? I mean, can you continue to flip properties in the market we're in now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's always deals out there, always houses to flip.
Right, and it takes more work to find them, of course, but they're still out there, and I think there's a lot of competition with the listed properties because it's easier to find those. I mean, they're
in the MLS.
Presented for sale, yeah.
Right.
And you have a realtor find them for you, and that's a fine way to go. But you're going to deal with a lot more competition, and professional people that have been in the business for a long time that can make an offer as soon as that thing is listed. And if you need to go and look at it and have a contractor come and give you an estimate, and it takes a week before you can put an offer together,
not going to
that's going to be really hard to get a good deal. Yeah. And that's also why I recommend, starting out with, working with private sellers and finding people that want to sell their house.
What would you say on average what are your expectations on average when you flip a house? How much of a margin are you making?
Well, it varies, of course, with price range and the amount of work involved. But a typical investment property here in San Antonio would be something that would resale for about $100,000 fixed up. And this also works really well because it keeps the math simple. So let's say after it's fixed up and in good shape, we could put it on the market and try to sell for $100,000. Mm-hmm. So we would want to buy that for 70% of that price, and then subtract the cost of repairs. So, if it didn't need any repairs, we would be okay with paying $70,000 for it. If it did need, say, $10,000 in repairs, we would want to buy it for $10,000 less than that, which would be $60,000. So we would buy it for $60,000, put in $10,000 in repairs, mm-hmm. and then we'd be into it for $70,000, and we would resell for $100,000. And the TV shows and looking at it that way, people think, oh, wow, you're making $30,000. Well, that's not the case. I mean, you've got holding costs, resale costs. We do sell through realtors, and so we're paying, 5 to 6%, which is $5,000 to $6,000 on a $100,000 house.
Sure.
And the holding cost. And so it ends up being closer to maybe 15 to 20 if the house sells, pretty quickly.
And you may not have one a month. I mean, it just depends on how the market's going. You may have several a month. It just depends on how things are going, I guess.
Right. And so, yeah, you do have those up and downs, and, a lot of times it's not very steady. I mean, but it don't, you get good paychecks when you do get paychecks.
Right, so. Right. All right. Well, very good. Danny Johnson, we do appreciate you coming on the show and Skyping in from San Antonio. I know you've got a hot market over there, so good luck finding those valued properties.
Oh, thank you.
I know that's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. Like you said, you're not stuck in an office all the time, so that's nice. All right. His blog is at flippingjunkie.com, so you can find Danny online. And if you missed any of today's show, you can find us online at HoustonRealEstateRadio.com. This show is sponsored by The Perfect Light. They are a landscape lighting and mosquito misting system company, so they can come out and fix any lighting issues you're having with your landscape if you need to get those going again, if they haven't been working this season, or if you just need a whole new landscape lighting outlook. They can come out and design a whole plan for you. So you can find them online at theperfectlight.com. We'll be right back.